success would destroy most men. Not because success is evil, because their life has no structure to hold it. Give a disorganized man more money and he leaks it faster. Give him more attention and he becomes addicted to being seen. Give him more opportunity and he misses the follow-up. Give him more freedom and he turns it into decay. Most men think success will save them from chaos. Wrong. Success amplifies chaos. If your life is already unstable, success does not make you powerful. It makes your instability visible. It exposes the weak points you have been hiding from other people and, more importantly, from yourself. When no one knows your name, your disorder looks private. When no one is watching, your missed deadlines look harmless. When no one depends on you, your lack of structure feels like personality. But the moment success arrives, the same weaknesses become expensive. Now your delay costs money. Your bad communication costs trust. Your lack of focus costs opportunity. Your emotional spending costs leverage. Your scattered routine costs momentum. And then the average man says, "I was not ready." No. He was undisciplined before the opportunity came. The opportunity only revealed it. Machiavelli understood that power is not only taken. Power must be maintained. A man can win territory and still lose the kingdom if he has no order behind the walls. A man can receive influence and still collapse under the pressure of managing it. A man can gain access and still waste it because his inner world is still ruled by impulse. Power without structure becomes instability, and instability always invites loss. Sometimes the loss comes through another man, someone calmer, someone more prepared, someone who answers faster, thinks cleaner, keeps better records, follows through with less drama, and does not need to be emotionally inspired before doing what must be done. Sometimes the loss comes through your own weakness. You get the chance, but your day is already occupied by distraction. You get the money, but your spending has no law. You get the attention, but your ego starts feeding on it. You get the client, but your communication is careless. You get the open door, but your life is too chaotic to walk through it with force. This is why you do not rise to success. Your systems hold it or lose it. Ambition is not enough. Hunger is not enough. Pain is not enough. Being doubted is not enough. Being unsupported is not enough. A man can be wounded, angry, talented, intelligent, and still remain weak because his daily structure cannot carry the weight of what he claims to want. That is the brutal truth. Many men are not failing because they lack potential. They are failing because their potential has nowhere to live. Your future needs territory inside your day. It needs money assigned to its growth. It needs focus protected from invasion. It needs trust built through consistency. It needs opportunity handled with speed, preparation, and proof. Without that, you are not building a life. You are having strong emotions about a life you refuse to organize. This is the capacity mechanism. Disorder leaks time. Disorder leaks money. Disorder leaks focus. Disorder leaks trust. Disorder leaks opportunity. And every leak weakens the man who thinks he is close to becoming powerful. The first leak is time, and this is where most men lie to themselves. They say they do not have time, but their time is not absent. It is occupied. Occupied by reaction. Occupied by scrolling. Occupied by random conversations. Occupied by emotional recovery from choices they should not have made. Occupied by other people's urgency. Occupied by entertainment that gives them the illusion of rest, while quietly stealing the hours they needed to build. A disorganized man does not own his day. He rents it out to whatever screams the loudest. He wakes up without command. He checks his phone before he checks his direction. He lets messages, notifications, moods, and outside demands decide the first movement of his mind. By the time he remembers his future, the strongest hours have already been spent serving noise. Then he tells himself he will work later. Later is where weak men bury their potential. Later is where the project dies. Later is where the body gets worse. Later is where the business remains an idea. Later is where the book, the channel, the skill, the offer, the application, the training, and the uncomfortable call disappear. A man who does not protect time cannot complain about destiny. Your future cannot grow in stolen minutes. It cannot survive on whatever energy is left after the world has taken its share. If your ambition only receives the scraps of your day, do not act surprised when your life looks like leftovers. Ask yourself this directly. Where does your future have legal territory in your day? Not emotional territory, not fantasy territory. Not a vague promise that you will start when life becomes easier. Legal territory. A protected block. A fixed appointment. A non-negotiable hour where your future is not competing with noise, comfort, or the opinions of people who will not suffer the consequences of your weakness. If there is no protected time, there is no serious ambition. There is only desire, and desire without structure is entertainment. A man who wants power must first conquer his calendar, not because scheduling is glamorous, but because time is the soil where power grows. If your soil belongs to everyone else, nothing strong can take root. The second leak is money. Money does not change a disorganized man. It only makes his disorder more expensive. This is why some men earn more and still feel trapped. Their income rises, but their structure does not. Their habits expand to consume the increase. Their insecurity upgrades its costume. Their impulses become more costly. Their need to look successful grows faster than their actual foundation. Early money is not decoration. It is ammunition. It is not there to prove you are valuable. It is there to build the machine that makes you harder to ignore. But a weak man spends money to regulate emotion. He buys the image before he builds the base. He rewards himself before he has earned stability. He uses money to escape the pain of feeling behind. That is how he stays behind. Money must have roles: survival, protection, reinvestment, skill, tools, controlled reward. If every dollar enters your life without assignment, your impulses will assign it for you. And impulse is not loyal to your future. Impulse is loyal to relief. It wants the easy hit. It wants the fast status. It wants the temporary silence of insecurity. A disciplined man makes money obey before it arrives. He knows what percentage protects him. He knows what percentage builds him. He knows what percentage buys tools. He knows what percentage can be spent without guilt because it has already been controlled by law. This is not about being cheap. Cheap men fear spending. Powerful men command spending. There is a difference. A cheap man refuses to invest because he is afraid to lose. A reckless man spends because he is afraid to feel small. A structured man deploys money according to strategy. That is why he becomes dangerous. If you are serious about changing, understand this. Watching harsh truths all day will not make you powerful if your life remains unstructured. You can consume video after video, feel the fire, feel exposed, feel motivated, and still wake up tomorrow as the same man if no operating system enters your life. If you continue like that, you will become addicted to intensity instead of transformation. You will mistake recognition for progress. You will hear the truth, nod at it, and then return to the same leaks that are draining your future. Inside Patreon, I go deeper into the full operating system. Not polished comfort, not motivational noise. The private frameworks, the deeper breakdowns, the practical structures that force a man to confront how he is actually living. If you are serious, join Patreon. If you want to keep watching from the outside while your life stays the same, that is also a decision. The decision is yours. The third leak is focus. Focus is not concentration. Focus is loyalty under temptation. Most men do not lack ideas. They lack obedience to one direction long enough for the direction to produce evidence. They start one path, then another. One business model, then another. One training plan, then another. One identity, then another. They keep changing the vehicle because they cannot tolerate the humiliation of being a beginner. Scattered ambition feels productive because it is always moving, but movement is not progress. A man can be busy and still be escaping. He can research all day and still avoid execution. He can study every strategy and still refuse to publish, sell, train, ask, build, or risk being judged. Focus is painful because focus removes excuses. When you choose one direction, the truth becomes measurable. Did you do the work or not? Did you improve or not? Did you follow through or not? Did you build proof or not? A scattered man protects his ego with options. A focused man exposes his ego to results. That is why focus is rare. It is not because the world has too many distractions, although it does. It is because most men use distraction to avoid the shame of seeing where they truly stand. They say they need clarity. Often, they need courage. Clarity does not come before commitment. Many times, clarity comes after enough disciplined contact with the work. The man who keeps waiting for perfect certainty remains weak, because perfect certainty is usually a mask for fear. You do not need 10 paths. You need one primary battlefield, one skill to build, one body to train, one offer to improve, one channel to grow, one standard to obey. One direction where your actions can accumulate instead of evaporating. Because focus compounds. Scattering resets the compound effect. Every time you switch too early, you destroy the invisible momentum that was about to start working for you. You return to zero and call it evolution. But it is not evolution if the pattern is avoidance wearing a new costume. A man who cannot focus cannot become undeniable. He may become interesting, he may become informed, he may become intense. But he will not become undeniable, because undeniable men are built through repeated force applied in the same direction. The fourth leak is trust. This is the leak that destroys men quietly. A man can be talented and still be unsafe to depend on. He can have vision and still make people nervous. He can speak with confidence and still create doubt in everyone who watches how he operates. Trust is not built by saying, "You are serious." Trust is built when your behavior reduces uncertainty. You answer when you say you will answer. You deliver when you say you will deliver. You prepare before the meeting. You follow up without being chased. You keep records. You remember details. You do not make other people carry the weight of your disorganization. This is where many ambitious men expose themselves. They want respect, but they communicate like boys. They want opportunity, but they miss simple messages. They want leadership, but people have to remind them of basic responsibilities. They want power, but their environment cannot rely on them. A man who creates uncertainty becomes expensive to trust. And in the real world, people do not only choose the most talented man, they choose the man who feels reliable under pressure. They choose the man who makes their life easier, not harder. They choose the man who reduces risk. This is why a less talented man with better structure can defeat a more talented man with more chaos. The chaotic man may have better ideas. He may have deeper emotion. He may even have greater raw potential, but he forces everyone around him to wonder. Will he reply? Will he deliver? Will he remember? Will he disappear? Will he make excuses? Will he become emotional when corrected? Will he turn a simple task into a storm? That uncertainty weakens his position. Machiavelli wrote, It is much safer to be feared than loved if one of the two has to be lacking. Most people misunderstand this. They think it means cruelty. It does not. In the architecture of power, it means you cannot build your position on the unstable desire to be liked. You must become a force that people take seriously, and no one takes a disorganized man seriously for long. You do not need everyone to love you, but you need serious people to know that when you give your word, reality bends around it. You need them to know that your standards do not disappear when your mood changes. You need them to know that your operation is clean enough to handle responsibility. Trust is power infrastructure. When people trust you, they give you more information, more access, more responsibility, more referrals, more chances, more room. When people do not trust you, they may still smile at you, they may still compliment you, they may still say you have potential, but they do not place weight in your hands, and weight is what builds powerful men. The fifth leak is opportunity. This is the most brutal leak because it makes men believe nothing ever happens for them. But often things did happen. They just were not ready. A message came and they waited too long. A chance appeared, and they had no proof. A person showed interest, and they had no offer. A door opened, and they had no preparation. A useful contact was near them, and they had no clear ask. A moment arrived, and their life was too disorganized to capture it. Then they called it bad luck. No, bad luck is sometimes just unpreparedness meeting reality. Opportunity does not reward the man who merely wants it. Opportunity rewards the man who has built the container before the water arrives. If someone asks what you do, can you explain it clearly? If someone wants proof, can you show it quickly? If someone offers a meeting, can you prepare without panic? If someone sends a referral, can you handle it professionally? If attention comes toward your work, is there a structure ready to receive it? Most men want a breakthrough, but they have no landing zone for the breakthrough. They want more viewers, but their channel has no clear identity. They want more clients, but their follow-up is weak. They want more money, but their financial structure is childish. They want stronger relationships, but their communication is unreliable. They want access to higher-level rooms, but their habits still belong to lower-level living. So the opportunity passes. And because it did not announce itself with trumpets, they do not even recognize what they lost. A serious man prepares before the door opens. He builds proof before anyone asks. He organizes his ideas before the conversation. He sharpens his offer before the market looks at him. He trains his body before pressure tests him. He fixes his money before more money arrives. He disciplines his time before larger responsibility demands it. That is how he becomes available for power. Now the video becomes practical, and this is where weak men start looking for another dose of emotion. Do not do that. You do not need another intense idea. You need laws, not pretty systems, not notebooks that make you feel organized, not apps that become digital graveyards, not planning rituals that give you the pleasure of control without the burden of execution. You need 5 laws of capacity. The first law is a time law. Choose the hours that belong to your future and defend them like territory. Do not wait to feel ready. Do not negotiate with your mood. Do not let every message become an emergency. Your first serious block of the day must be assigned to the thing that builds your position. If your future only gets attention after the world is finished with you, you are not in command. The second law is a money law. Before money arrives, decide where it goes. Survival, protection, reinvestment, tools, skill, controlled reward. Give every dollar a job. Money without command becomes emotional fuel. It feeds insecurity, laziness, status hunger, and avoidance. Money under command becomes leverage. The third law is a focus law. Pick the main battlefield, not 10, not 5. One primary battlefield. Let other things exist, but do not let them steal the throne. For the next season of your life, one direction must receive repeated force until there is evidence. Evidence is the only language reality respects. The fourth law is a trust law. Create a standard for communication and delivery. Respond cleanly. Follow up quickly. Keep promises small enough to honor and serious enough to matter. Document what needs to be remembered. Do not make people chase you. Do not use confusion as a personality trait. A powerful man makes others feel the presence of order. The fifth law is an opportunity law. Prepare your proof before anyone asks. Have your work ready. Have your offer clear. Have your next step simple. Have your contacts organized. Have your body and mind trained enough to handle pressure when it arrives. Do not wait for the opportunity to become organized. That is how ordinary men lose. There is also a trap here. Some men use organization to avoid execution. They build the perfect calendar, but never take the risk. They design the perfect workspace, but never publish. They create the perfect plan, but never sell. They track habits, rewrite goals, build spreadsheets, adjust routines, and call it discipline. But nothing leaves their hands. That is not structure. That is fear wearing a uniform. Organization is not the goal. Output is the goal. Structure exists to produce force in reality. If your system does not create action, it is not a system. It is furniture. A clean desk does not make you powerful. A beautiful routine does not make you powerful. A detailed plan does not make you powerful. Power begins when structure produces repeated action under pressure. That is the difference between men who admire discipline and men who become disciplined. One watches, one obeys. If you are serious about this path, then understand what is being asked of you. You are not being asked to become motivated. Motivation is too cheap. You are being asked to become governed by standards that do not collapse when no one is clapping. You have already watched enough. You have heard enough truths. You have felt enough temporary fire. But if your life still leaks time, money, focus, trust, and opportunity, then you are not lacking information. You are lacking enforcement. And if you continue collecting insight without changing your operating system, you will become a man who understands his own failure in beautiful language while still living inside it. Inside Patreon, I build the deeper operating system for men who are done consuming and ready to implement. The private breakdowns, the unfiltered lessons, the structures behind discipline, power, solitude, emotional control, and becoming difficult to ignore. If you want to truly change, join Patreon. If you want to remain a spectator of your own potential, keep doing what you have been doing. The decision is yours. Now, audit your life. Where does time leak? Where does money leak? Where does focus leak? Where does trust leak? Where does opportunity leak? Do not answer like a philosopher. Answer like a man who is tired of losing years to the same pattern. Look at your day. Where is your future being starved? Look at your money. Where is your insecurity spending before your strategy can speak? Look at your attention. Where are you scattering force because one direction would expose you? Look at your reputation. Where do people experience you as talented but unreliable? Look at your opportunities. Where have doors opened, but you had no proof, no preparation, no system, no readiness? Choose one leak, not all 5. A weak man tries to fix everything at once because the fantasy of total transformation feels powerful. Then the weight becomes too much and he returns to the same life with a new excuse. A serious man chooses one leak and closes it. This week, close one leak. Protect one block of time. Assign your money before it disappears. Remove one distraction that keeps splitting your focus. Repair one trust gap with clean communication. Prepare one piece of proof so opportunity has something to land on. Do not make it dramatic, make it real. Power is not built in the emotional performance of wanting more. Power is built in the quiet enforcement of structure when comfort is asking for your loyalty. You do not need permission from your family. You do not need applause from your friends. You do not need society to notice you before you begin. You do not need the world to understand the man you are becoming. Most people will only understand the result. So build the structure before the result arrives. Because if success came to you today, the question is not whether you would enjoy it. The question is whether you could hold it. Could your time hold it? Could your money hold it? Could your focus hold it? Could your trust hold it? Could your opportunity system hold it? Or would success simply expose the disorder you have been calling potential? This is the line between fantasy and power. The fantasy says, when success comes, I will become disciplined. Power says, I become disciplined now, so success has somewhere to stand. The fantasy says, when people believe in me, I will move differently. Power says, I move differently before they believe. The fantasy says, when I get the chance, I will be ready. Power says, I prepare before the chance arrives. That is how a man becomes undeniable. Not by begging to be seen, not by explaining his pain, not by waiting for the world to recognize his potential, but by becoming structured enough that when pressure increases, he does not collapse. When money increases, he does not become foolish. When attention increases, he does not become addicted. When opportunity appears, he does not freeze. When others doubt him, he does not need their permission to continue. Machiavelli's lesson was never that ambition alone creates power. Ambition is common, desire is common, pain is common, potential is common. What is rare is the man who can maintain order when his emotions are loud, when the room is silent, when no one is helping, when no one is coming, when no one is impressed yet. That man becomes dangerous because he does not need the world to organize itself around him. He organizes himself first. And once a man can govern himself, he becomes much harder to govern by others. Remember this. You do not rise to success. Your systems hold it or lose it.